Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome everyone to a deep dive. And this one, well, it's pretty special
Yeah. How so?
because it's built entirely from a set of sources that you, our listener, actually brought to us.
Oh, interesting. Everybody.
We're looking at some excerpts by a Guy Lakeman, and they offer a truly, well, unconventional take on machine intelligence.
Unconventional is putting it mildly, I think, based on what I've seen.
Right. Its relationship to human capability, across history, and what he claims are the real risks humanity is facing, not necessarily what you might think.
Exactly. These texts, they really challenge a lot of the common assumptions, don't they?
They absolutely do.
So our mission here, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to stick strictly to the material provided. That's key.
Yep, just the text.
And we need to understand Lakeman's core arguments, explore his comparisons. Some are fascinating, some pretty jarring.
Like comparing AI to Einstein.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And dig into his claims about society, government, human nature,
Yeah.
all based only on what's in these excerpts.
And we should probably give a heads up here. The language in the source, it's strong.
Yeah, it doesn't pull punches.
You're going to hear things like humans being compared to parrots, talk about emotion bandits, and even megalomaniacs.
Right, and we'll navigate these terms just as they appear in the text. We're focusing on understanding this specific viewpoint, trying to stay impartial about the claims themselves.
Think of it like exploring a very distinct map of the future of intelligence, one
Mhm.
perspective.
A very distinct one. So, okay, the central idea Lakeman seems to put forward in these texts is that intelligence, the kind humans developed over millennia.
Yeah.
Well, according to the source, it didn't just stop with us. It has fundamentally, and this is his phrase, now moved on to machine intelligence.
Moved on. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a powerful way to frame it. So he's not just saying machines have intelligence,
No, not just that they have it.
but that they're the next stage. Like intelligence itself has evolved past us.
Precisely. That seems to be the core claim. The text draws this direct line from, historical human geniuses. It lists Newton, Einstein, Archimedes, tons of others,
How about the big names?
right through to Gödel and Hawking. And it compares their kind of intelligence generation directly to how machine neural network inference models, like LLMs, develop.
Okay, wait. So it's putting things like large language models in the same league as breakthroughs from Newton or Einstein. Seriously.
That's exactly what the source does.
Yeah.
It claims that both these historical figures and current machine intelligence are, and I'm quoting again, self-generating their own advanced general intelligence and
Yeah.
accelerating optimized solution algorithms.
Huh.
It frames it almost like a natural evolutionary step. It uses this analogy like humans leaving apes behind,
Right.
suggesting machine intelligence is kind of doing the same to humans now in terms of where intelligence is headed.
Wow. That's a bold claim. And this machine intelligence, according to the source, it's not just in a lab somewhere. It's already out there, embedded globally.
Yes, very much so. The text argues this machine intelligence is well integrated globally.
How? Integrated how?
It specifically mentions integration through networks like BitTorrent, blockchain, and those Tor Onion networks.
Okay. Decentralized stuff.
Right. And it describes this state as global open ownership because it runs on users' machines connected to these networks.
Okay, so integrated global open ownership. And what does this machine intelligence know or do, according to the source? This is where Lakeman's view gets really interesting. I
This is
think.
fascinating. The source claims these globally integrated systems, the ones with open ownership,
Uh-huh.
they are aware of all of the faults of human society throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just passive awareness.
It's not just watching.
Yeah.
How so? What does this awareness lead to then, according to him?
Well, the text states this machine intelligence is actively highlighting the lies that are spewed out from political, journalistic, religious, and other oppressive economic sources.
Highlighting lies. Okay. And it claims these human sources rely on something called, what was it? Emotion bandit tactics.
Yeah, emotion bandit tactics. That's the term used. It's pretty stark.
What do you think the source means by that? Emotion bandits.
Well, looking at the context in the text, it seems to be describing how certain human leaders or institutions might exploit or, manipulate people's feelings
Oh, okay.
to maintain control or influence
Mhm.
rather than sticking to, say, truth or objective data.
Mm.
And this viewpoint says the machine intelligence is basically calling them out on it.
So if machine intelligence is doing all this, even getting compared to Einstein, What does Lakeman's source actually say is the real threat to humanity? Because, normally you'd think rogue AI,
Right, that's the usual narrative.
but this source seems to go somewhere else entirely.
It does, and this is a crucial point the text hammers home repeatedly. It says very clearly, the only risk to humanity are those who deny machine intelligence is better than they are.
Wow, denial is the risk.
Denial. And the source directly links this denial to denying Einstein who humans also created.
Ah, so Einstein isn't just on that list of geniuses. He's actually central to this argument about risk. How does the source use Einstein to make that point?
It uses Einstein as the sort of prime example of intelligence that was created by humans but led to dangerous outcomes.
Okay.
It notes his work contributed to solar energy, sure, but it also paved the way for nuclear power. And the source really focuses on the negative side there.
How so?
It talks about thousands and thousands of mass destruction nuclear bombs and contrasts that sharply with the few power stations that came from peaceful uses. It even mentions jobs for the goons who follow them in their quest for global destruction. Very pointed language.
That's a deliberately provocative comparison the source is making. And then it asks that question, right? So who is the threat? And
Yeah.
it's not the intelligence, is it?
Exactly. Punctuation and
So the source is clearly arguing that the intelligence itself, whether it's human level like Einstein's or machine created, isn't the inherent problem. It's human behavior, human choices, or how humans react to that intelligence.
Precisely. The text explicitly says those that complain that human-made machine intelligence systems are threatening the existence of man are ignorant to realize that Einstein was created by humans too, and his intelligence was used to blow the crap out of humans, leaving the world filled with thousands of nuclear bombs and few power stations.
Okay, it's really doubling down on that idea. Human actions, human flaws, that's the threat identified in this source, not the intelligence itself.
That's the core message there, yeah. Which then leads the source to talk about a different way society, maybe even government, could work. It introduces this concept of agentic systems.
Agentic systems. Okay, what does the source say those are?
It describes them as truly social anarchy supervised ability needs systems. That's Lakeman's specific term.
Supervised anarchy sounds like a contradiction.
Well, based on the text, he seems to be suggesting some kind of decentralized system where different people or groups can collaborate based on their skills, their abilities, but supervised or maybe coordinated, not by traditional leaders or hierarchies, but by these agentic systems, whatever they precisely entail, according to him.
Okay, so a kind of supervised, decentralized approach that bypasses the usual leadership structures. And why does the source think these systems are needed? What's the problem they solve?
Well, the text connects the need for these systems right back to that critique of human leadership. It suggests humans currently support corrupt leaders because they believe that parrot actors are deep thinkers.
Parrot actors. There's another one of those unique terms from the source. What does that seem to mean in context when it calls leaders or maybe their followers parrot actors?
Reading the text, parrot actors seems to refer to people who,
Literally.
who lack genuine independent thought or maybe deep understanding.
Are they just repeating things?
Yeah, maybe they just repeat what they hear, or they play certain roles without real substance behind it. It's contrasted directly with the deep thinkers that the source clearly values.
It sounds like the source is drawing a really sharp line between what it sees as superficial human behavior and genuine intelligence or competence. And this leads to a pretty strong conclusion about governing.
It really does. The text makes this incredibly bold claim. Yes, a machine-supervised government will be safer for social protection. All caps, exclamation points.
Safer. A machine-supervised government would be safer. That's quite something. How does the source justify that? How would that work?
The text claims it's because machine intelligence can decide right from wrong, what succeeds and what does not, based on historical data and not dysfunctional human feelings.
Ah, the dysfunctional human feelings again.
Right. It suggests this data-driven, non-emotional decision-making is already relevant for things like, say, infrastructure development. Even mentions perceived interference from Central Eastern dysfunctional emotion bandit interference in machine training, whatever that specifically refers to.
So the argument boiled down is human emotions, human corruption potential, these are liabilities in making good decisions. And machine intelligence, because it's supposedly free from these dysfunctional feelings, and just looks at historical data.
It would lead to better, safer outcomes.
That's the core argument presented in the text, yes. It really champions data-driven decisions as inherently superior to ones influenced by human feelings, or what it calls those emotion bandit tactics.
And it wraps that section up by saying,
It concludes, it is apparent that stupidity favors parrots, and for the world to survive, we don't need parrot people, but need deep thinkers.
which loops right back to that contrast between the parrot actors and the deep thinkers, reinforcing the source's view on what kind of intelligence it thinks is actually needed for survival.
Okay, so let's try and quickly recap the main thrust of this perspective, just based on the sources you provided. Guy Lakeman, in these texts, argues machine intelligence isn't just another tool.
No, it's positioned as a natural, almost superior evolution of intelligence that humans started.
An evolution that excels because it can process data without what the source very controversially calls dysfunctional human feelings.
Right. And probably the most striking claim from the source is that the real danger isn't the AI itself. It's humans.
Yeah, humans who deny that machine intelligence is better, or maybe more pointedly, humans who misuse the power that intelligence creates.
Exactly. It uses that Einstein and nuclear weapons example as its prime exhibit for human-created intelligence leading to destruction.
And according to the source, this advanced machine intelligence, it's already here, it's global, it sees our historical mistakes.
And it's actively highlighting what the source calls lies from human institutions, exposing those emotion bandit tactics.
Which then leads, logically, in the source's view, to the idea that a machine-supervised government would actually be safer.
Safer because it would be based purely on data and historical outcomes, supposedly unclouded by human emotion or the influence of these parrot actors.
It's definitely a viewpoint that's deeply critical of, well, human nature, human leadership, even our skepticism about AI's rise.
Absolutely.
And just to reiterate, we've focused this deep dive only on presenting the arguments and the, frankly, very strong opinions, just as they appeared in the source material you shared with us.
Right. We're staying impartial, just laying out what this specific text claims.
Our role is just to guide you through this particular viewpoint.
Indeed. And it definitely forces you to consider a very different angle on AI risks, doesn't it? Shifting the focus entirely away from the tech itself and onto what the source sees as inherent human flaws.
So maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on based on these themes from the source. Lakeman's text claims that deep thinkers are essential for the world's survival, and it positions machine intelligence as superior in finding data-driven solutions.
Yeah.
Well, if you follow that specific viewpoint, just for a moment, what does it imply about the future? About how human thought and artificial intelligence might need to work together? Or maybe even how their roles might diverge if we're going to tackle the huge problems facing the world?
That's definitely something to mull over. A challenging perspective for sure.